video is sponsored by me, bitch, and you. Us. I have finally found a company online that I can send my designs to make merchandise for me. So I'm working with Everpress to bring to you this Cowboy Cats crew neck. So how it works is simple. The campaign for Cowboy Cats runs for 25 days. All the pre-orders are collected, all pre-orders cease, and then they make the crew necks based on the demand, based off all the orders. This makes it so there are no Cowboy Cat crew necks that go unbought and unworn. They're made to order, baby. So let's say you pre-order them today. You will then have to put your patient pants on for pre-orders to end, and then they'll be made and sent from London to your front door. Lots of pointing. It's good pointing though. I'm so excited about this. It's baby's first merch design. We've got my cats Rumi and Albus as little cowboys. I drew it myself to have a kind of sketchy feel to it. Kind of looks like it was drawn with a crayon. It almost feels more like a thicker long sleeve, which honestly works because it's becoming the warmer spring seasons, and luckily it's appropriate for that. Thank goodness. I'm 5'2" and I got a medium. Lawrence is 6 feet tall and also got a medium, so go ahead and use us as some kind of basis. They also have a size guide, of course. I'm just saying this because if you do want a baggier feel, I would recommend sizing up 1 or even 2 sizes. Since I'm not the one producing these, I'm not making them, I don't have a lot of control over the price, but I did set it as low as possible. This means that I make a little over €5 per sweater that is sold. Just wanted to be transparent with that. But most importantly, 10% of the proceeds will be going to Cats for Adoption Kiev, which is an organization that rescues, heals, and finds homes for cats in need. I picked this organization specifically because I always wanted to make my first campaign to be a charitable one, and seeing as it's a cat design, it seemed all too fitting for it to go towards cats, and obviously Ukraine needs our love and support now more than ever. So I'll leave the link to that website down below if you'd like to look more into it. My Google Chrome automatically translates everything, so hot tips. We adopted Albus and Rumi through an organization very similar to this one, so it just feels right. Also, I just love the idea of us helping cats and leading them to their forever homes together. That's adorable. And the rest of the proceeds will go to small business expenses. As of right now, I'm raising funds for envelopes and stamps to hopefully open an online shop, sell stickers and prints and things of the like sooner rather than later. So if you would like your own cowboy crew neck with Albus and Rumi riding little horses, look, Rumi is all floofy and long haired with his 2 colored eyes, and then Albus spacing out into the void. If you would like your own, my Everpress shop is linked down below. Go ahead, click the link if you want, get a pre-order in. You have 25 days to do so. I am so excited.
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
Anyway, I really appreciate everyone's love, support, and patience as I venture into things like sponsorships or merchandise. I'm still very new to this, taking it as it comes. Very grateful, kind of scary, just thank you. Anyway, let's dive into the book haul, shall we? We shall. Okay, 3 months ago, I filmed my first ever book haul. I've never book hauled before. I've always been a book collector, I've always read a lot of books, but as of the past few years, I've been reading a lot more books than usual. When I filmed that video back in January, it was the first time that I really received such a hefty number of books within 2 or so months, given the fact that Christmas happened. And ever since then, the goal was to make my TBR shelf a little more reasonably sized. And it's only been a little over 3 months since that video was uploaded. So what in the world are we doing here with all of these books, you may ask? Well, the majority of these are for specific reading vlogs, which I'm so excited for. I love me a good theme. I'm really excited to make some themed vlogs for y'all. If you want, you can go ahead and have a guess of what vlogs are in our futures. The point is, I have very clear goals and intentions to read these books. Also, secondly, since filming that haul, I've read 30 books. So, with 22 books here, this technically means that my TBR shelf remains shorter than it was in January. Legally speaking, my goal of shortening my TBR remains. Progress has been made, and that's on math. Mathematical! Also, this is my full-time job. Reading and making videos surrounding books is what I do for a living. The good news is, I'm lucky enough to be able to write these off as a business expense. And then slightly less good news, 1/3 to 1/2 of my income goes towards taxes. Belgium. Enough justifying. Nobody asked. I think I still am just struggling with some deep-seated imposter syndrome about this being my job. This is what dreams are made of. First book, Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This is a classic science fiction that follows a disabled man named Charlie and a little lab mouse named Algernon. I've heard that it's very fast moving. I don't think I've ever found anybody that hasn't liked this book. And from my understanding, it has a heavy focus on how short Algernon's life is and what this means for Charlie. I may or may already not know a big beat in this plot line, but I think that says a lot, seeing as I have ingested a spoiler and I still desire to read this book. It's on the shorter side. I've been promised that it packs a punch, so I'm stoked for this one. Next, I forgot to add it to the stack. Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. You may or may not have already seen this one in last week's reading review. See, I read the books that I buy. This is a middle grade story about a little girl who gets sent off to her grandparents' house who she's never met before. She befriends all of her long lost cousins and even some boys down the street who they're forbidden to talk to. Together they uncover some secrets of the small town, some mysteries within their family. It's middle grade, it's a little magical. It's right up my alley. Next, Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. I got this one solely on the fact that I saw a couple of niche horror book talk people say that this is the scariest book they've ever read. I also then saw that Gabby from Gabby Reads gave it 5 stars. This is a paranormal thriller about a couple who spend some time in a spooky cabin in the woods with snow, so of course people can't save them, kind of thing. And there's this tall spooky guy outside that's whispering to them, and then our protagonist's fiance is mumbling in her sleep like she normally does, but this time she's not mumbling nonsense, she's whispering back to the scary thing. Fucking yikes. I will be buddy reading this one with Sarah or Voided Lux on Instagram. She's got such a great thriller horror themed Instagram page. Definitely deserves some love. Check it out. Next, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I blame Elias for this one 100%. He had a whole video dedicated to this trilogy and how great it was, and I was sold, immediately sold. But look at me. He gave high praises to all 3 of these books, and I only ordered the first one to see if I would like it. Self-control who? Self-control me. This is an epic adult fantasy where our protagonist is adopted into the royal household to then be taught how to be the royal assassin. But what really got me on this one is that he has a magical link to animals, which is the ideal superpower. Point blank, the end. Ever since I was a kid, if I could pick one superpower, it would be the ability to talk to animals, to connect with animals. And this man is living my dream, so I have to read it. Next, Veronica Decides to Die by Paulo Coelho. This is from the same author who wrote The Alchemist, which I quite enjoyed. It's a psychological contemporary fiction that follows our protagonist Veronica, who decides to die. Apparently it asks a bunch of great existential questions. I just love when a shorter book packs a profound punch. This one kind of seems like it's gonna do what the Midnight Library tried to do, but better. That's just my gut feeling. I could be way off. We'll see. Speaking of profound punch, we have this little ditty. Pure Color by Shayla Hetty. I ordered this book solely because Humphreys on Instagram made a reel, and within this reel it states that the main character gets lost in a leaf. Need I say more? So I went into this one knowing almost nothing, and spoiler alert, she's already been read, and I loved her. I don't think everyone will love it, but I sure loved it. It's weird. I loved it. Next, Cast: The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. I finally got this nonfiction that's been sitting on my online TBR shelf for years. Within it, our author Isabel Wilkerson examines the unspoken caste system which exists in America still today. Despite our assumed growth throughout history and time and our grand claims of equality, there still remains a hierarchy of human divisions. I love sociology. I love reading about politics. This seems like the perfect baby of the two. I'm so happy I finally have this one. She sounds important. Next, I caved, y'all. I did. I got the entire Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. There's a Netflix series coming out soon, and I just couldn't bear with the thought of watching it before diving in to the original media. Now, as some of you may know, I didn't really like Radio Silence, mostly because I was too old. That book wasn't written for me. And even though I've been wanting to read Heartstopper for so long, my negative experience with Radio Silence has pushed me from doing so. But I just got sucked in. I did. I have high hopes for this one. I do. I recently read Bloom by Kevin Panetta, and that was a super cute gay graphic novel, and that got 5 stars from me, and maybe I just want something very much like that again, and I think this will do it for me. I've been craving cute gay cartoons, and this fits the bill. And Fictional Fates just made a video. Within it, Joel reads everything that Alice Oseman ever wrote, and it just got me so much more excited. I thought I was already as excited as I could be, but I'm there. I'm excited. We're getting down to the last half. Next, And the Mountains Echoed by Khaled Hosseini. If you know me at all, hopefully you know by now that Khaled Hosseini is a top tier favorite author for me. I read 2 of his other books. They got 5 stars. The Kite Runner sits on my favorite shelves. They just blow me away. His world building is spectacular. It's historical fiction that teaches you so much. His characters are spot on. And I decided after recently finishing 1,000 Splendid Suns that we need to read Hosseini together. So I do believe this is his last adult book on the market. He does have a children's book that I need now. But in the meantime, this will be a Pocket Pages book club book this summer. It takes place in Afghanistan. It follows a brother and a sister. I love sibling stories, so I'm just so excited to read this one with you in a few months. The Pocket Pages book club is linked through the Patreon. It's $1 a month. You can join and leave whenever you like. We discuss in the last week of every month, so then you don't have to be available during any live streams. You won't miss out. Join us if you like. Next, Speaking of pocket pages, The 5 Wounds by Kirsten Valdez-Quaid. This book has been on my radar for a hot minute, I'll admit, because look at how gorgeous the cover is. But what really sold me was Lupita Reeds on TikTok. She has this series called Daily Dose of Literature, and she read a quote, and all it took was that quote to get me sold. The quote she chose was, Angel had sort of believed that death, the death of someone essential and life-defining, meant the end of everything. But here she is, mashing banana with a fork, loading the dishwasher. Here she is doing something as mundane and necessary as choosing from among the bottles lined up along the edge of the bathtub and shampooing her hair. This heartache is so much larger than anything she's felt. It's agony. She can't sit still, it hurts so much. And also enlivening. Angel has no idea that the world could hold ache like this, and just before Connor was born, she had no idea it could hold such love. Ah! Yes, absolutely. This book takes place in northern New Mexico. It sounds so beautifully written. I cannot wait. We are reading this together in May for the Pocket Pages Book Club. Yes! Next. The next few books I selected because I haven't had the best time with heterosexual romance books. So, the first on the list being heavily influenced by TikTok, One Last Stop by Casey McKiston. One Last Stop is about a 22-year-old woman named August, and she meets a gorgeous girl on the subway, but this subway crush seems to be trapped on the train. She's literally displaced in time from the 1970s, and August is going to have to use everything she tried to leave in her own past to help Jane. Is this a magical realism sapphic Groundhog Day? Everyone seems to love it. It sounds really sweet. The cover's really cute. I'm ready to be swept up in this story. I have high hopes. Next, She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Remember how I said I was sold on Pure Color based off of one sentence alone? Well, I was sold on this book based off of 2 words. Sapphic fisting. This is a gay historical fiction fantasy, and I am so looking forward to reading this one. I'm reading this with my online book friend April, or April Reads on Instagram. Another great page if you want to check her out. Friends who read about fisting together stay together. Next, Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. The previous 2 books are all the rage. I've seen them online so much, and I wanted to pick one that I hadn't seen online at all. Have you heard of this one? I haven't. It's a historical fiction that takes place during Nigeria's Civil War in 1968. Within it, our protagonist comes of age as her nation does and falls into a forbidden love, seeing as it's with another girl. And what makes it even more forbidden is that they're from different ethnic communities as well. It's inspired by folk tales, and I'm here for it. Next, The Little Prince. You know The Little Prince. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. How do you say this? Lawrence speaks French. How do you say Antoine de Saint-Exupéry?
Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
I got The Little Prince. I'm sure I don't have to tell you what this one is about. As a classic magical fable that I cannot believe I haven't read yet, this sounds right up my alley. I ordered this one because I need to read somebody's favorite books next week. Whose is it? A mystery. Stay tuned. This is a philosophical yet simple children's book. It features iconic illustrations. I have no clue what has prevented me from reading this for this long, but I have a gut feeling that this is a 5-star, maybe a new favorite. We'll see. 5 left. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Of course I blame the internet for this one too. Within the past week or 2, I may or may not have found a romance that got 5 stars from me. What? Is this possible? It is. So yeah, maybe I'm just chasing that high. I picked this one up with the understanding that the protagonist is a 30-year-old woman with autism, and she wants more experience in the romance realm of things, so she hires a professional, and then things get steamy, things get serious. People seem really torn on this one, but it kind of sounds like something I could like, hopefully. And I don't think I've ever read a romance with this trope before. Most of my romances are unavailable men, completely incapable of communicating or expressing their emotions, and a hopeless romantic woman pining over him. The roles seem reversed. Maybe that makes it different or better. I don't know. Did you like this one? I have good feelings. It's happening. Yet another. The internet made me do it, but I'm excited, so no complaints from me. This is a girthy, queer, high adult fantasy that I've heard compared to The Poppy War, which is a trilogy that I read about a year ago and I loved, and so maybe that's another peak in my reading life that I'm looking to re-experience at least once more. There are assassins, hidden magic. I kind of want to go into this one knowing a bit less as opposed to knowing more, because that's typically how it has gone with me in the past with high fantasies, and it's worked. Don't break something that don't need fixing. I hear she's fast-paced. I hear she's riveting. She could get her own reading vlog. This is 3 lifetimes long. I'm excited. Next, Motherhood by Shayla Hetty. Remember that book about the protagonist getting lost in a leaf? Yeah, well maybe I read that one and woke up the next day craving more from that author and ordered another one from her immediately. Ding! This is a feminist literary fiction that explores what one gains and loses when embarking on the journey that is motherhood. Seems simple enough, but what a complex topic, truly. I think this book would pair really well with this nonfiction that I've had on my TBR for a hot minute called Regretting Motherhood. I'd be lying if I said that I don't ponder this topic ad nauseum, seeing as I'm a 27-year-old 18-year-old person that is married and not at all on anyone else's timelines. I'm not here to divulge into my personal opinions or hesitations. I'm just saying that I'm really curious to read this one, seeing as it's written by somebody with such a clever voice and such a unique perspective that I think I would really like to explore while swimming in these feelings. Next, Papisho by Leon Ross. First of all, the cover. Exquisite. Second of all, queer magical realism where everyone on an island has a special power. Yes. I asked y'all in the Discord if anyone had read this book and what your feelings were, and I got a couple of positive responses. And what really sealed the deal for me was I saw some reviews online saying there was so much more to this book than what the synopsis reveals. So curiosity peaked tenfold. I hear it's a very strange ride. I love strange. I cannot wait to read this. It ticks so many boxes of what I look for in a book. I can feel myself putting a little bit too much self-made pressure and hype onto it to the point where it might not even be possible for it to live up to, but I really feel like this one could be a 5-star or a favorite. I really do. I really do. And last but not least, look what came out! Ocean Vuong's second poetry collection, Time is a Mother. This one seems to be centered around themes of grief following his mother's passing and how to overcome such an overwhelming emotion. Ocean Vuong is an auto-buy author for me. Unearthly Briefly Gorgeous sits on my favorite shelf. I have his other poetry collection, Night Sky with Exit Wounds. I'm not really a poetry gal, but there's just something about how he writes that gets me every time, even if I don't understand everything. It's just so beautiful and it sweeps me off my feet, even if I'm confused. His work is so relatable while at the same time exposing me to experience I have never nor will probably ever experience, which I'm so grateful for. I just love him and everything he makes, and just look at how beautiful it's here. Yeah! Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. And that's it. Those are the 22 books that I've ordered over the past 2 months, most of which are for our book club or for themed vlogs. So how many videos can you guess? What is she making? What is she up to? Are any of these on your TBR or have you read them already? Please let me know what you thought, but please don't spoil them. Don't ruin things for people. And as always, thank you for clicking, thank you for caring, and thank you for being nice. You have 25 days to get your own Cowboy Kids merch. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.